Have you ever wondered how a prosperous community could be destroyed overnight? Today, we're diving into the tragic story of the Tulsa Race Massacre, an event that forever changed the landscape of America. In this video, we're going to answer three crucial questions. What exactly happened during the Tulsa Race Massacre? How did a thriving community like Greenwood, known as Black Wall Street, fall victim to such senseless violence? And why is understanding this history so vital for us today? We've put in extensive research to bring you the most accurate and comprehensive overview of this tragic event, and we've included resources for further learning in the description below. So, buckle up as we explore this dark chapter in American history that speaks volumes about racial tensions and the struggle for justice. Imagine a community where Black-owned businesses flourished, where economic independence was a reality. This was Greenwood in the early 20th century. Founded by African-American pioneers seeking refuge from racial oppression, Greenwood became a self-sufficient hub. With banks, hotels, theaters, and restaurants, it was a shining example of Black entrepreneurship. At its peak, Greenwood housed around 10,000 residents, making it one of the wealthiest African-American communities in the United States. Greenwood was not just a place, it was a symbol of hope and resilience. The community thrived despite the oppressive Jim Crow laws that sought to limit the economic and social freedoms of African Americans. Families built businesses that catered to their own community: barbershops, grocery stores, and even luxury shops. The success of Greenwood earned it the nickname Black Wall Street, a title denoting both pride and prosperity. However, this success did not come without challenges. While Greenwood was flourishing, racial tensions simmered beneath the surface. The wealth and success of the Black community were perceived as a threat by many in the neighboring white communities. This growing resentment was fueled by a broader social climate that upheld white supremacy and racial segregation, creating an environment ripe for conflict. This success earned Greenwood the nickname Black Wall Street, symbolizing resilience and economic empowerment. But it also sowed the seeds of resentment among neighboring white communities. But how did this thriving community become the site of one of the worst racial violence events in American history? On May 30th, 1921, a seemingly innocuous encounter between Dick Rowland, a Black shoeshiner, and Sarah Page, a white elevator operator, escalated dramatically. Rowland was a young man who had dreams of success, working diligently to make a living. That day, he entered the Drexel building, where Page worked. Accounts of what transpired inside the elevator vary, but it is believed that Rowland accidentally stumbled and grabbed Page's arm for support. Page screamed, which led a white bystander to assume she was being assaulted. This single incident quickly spiraled out of control as rumors of an attempted assault spread through the white community, igniting a firestorm of racial animosity. The local newspaper, the Tulsa Tribune, inflamed tensions further by publishing a sensationalized article titled "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in Elevator." This article was not just a report, it was a call to arms for the local white population. The accompanying editorial allegedly called for a lynching, inciting hatred and violence against Rowland before he had even been tried in a court of law. This incitement led to a white mob gathering outside the courthouse where Rowland was held, setting the stage for the violence that would follow. People mobilized quickly, driven by fear and anger, all based on rumors and sensationalist reporting. The situation escalated rapidly, and the tension was palpable. The local newspaper's inflammatory article not only fueled the flames of rage, but also set in motion a tragic chain of events that would obliterate a vibrant community. Now, let's talk about what happened next, a night of chaos that would devastate a community. Fearing for Rowland's safety, a group of armed Black men, including World War I veterans, went to the courthouse to protect him. These men were not there to incite violence. They came as a show of solidarity and defense. However, their presence only escalated tensions, leading to a confrontation that would have dire consequences. Amidst the chaos, a shot was fired. It's unclear who fired the first shot, but this single act triggered widespread panic and violence. Over the course of May 31st to June 1st, 1921, a white mob, swelling to thousands, descended on Greenwood, looting homes and businesses and setting them ablaze. Eyewitnesses reported that planes were even used to drop incendiary bombs on the community, an act that underscored the brutality of the attack. As the violence unfolded, the Greenwood community, which had been a shining beacon of black success, was reduced to ashes. In less than 24 hours, 35 city blocks were destroyed, and around 300 black residents were killed. The exact number remains unknown due to mass burials and the erasure of records. The violence left over 8,000 people homeless, and the property damage was estimated at $1.8 million at the time, approximately $27 million today. The sheer scale of destruction was unimaginable, and the loss of life was heartbreaking. This was not just an attack on a community, it was an assault on dreams, families, and futures. What happened to the survivors of this horrific event? In the wake of the massacre, the survivors faced unimaginable challenges. Many were detained in internment camps, and they were only released if a white employer claimed them. The systemic racism that had fueled the violence continued to rear its ugly head in the aftermath. Despite the extensive destruction and loss of life, no white perpetrators were held accountable. Insurance companies refused to compensate black property owners, citing riot clauses, leaving countless families without support. The city and state actively suppressed the history of the massacre. It was omitted from textbooks, and survivors were silenced by fear of retaliation. The white community rebuilt over Greenwood, and Tulsa's leadership sought to erase the memory of the event. For decades, the massacre was largely forgotten, even within black households. Survivors seldom spoke of the trauma they endured, and the community was left to grapple with the scars of that fateful night in silence. This deliberate erasure of history only served to deepen the wounds and perpetuate the cycle of injustice. Fast forward to the late 20th century, what efforts were made to seek justice? Efforts to seek justice and historical acknowledgement began to gain momentum in the late 20th century. In 1996, the Oklahoma state government formed the Tulsa Race Riot Commission, later renamed the 1921 Race Massacre Commission, to investigate the events. This marked a significant step toward confronting the past. The Commission's report, published in 2001, confirmed the extent of the violence, the use of airplanes, and the intentional destruction of property. It recommended reparations, including financial compensation for survivors and their descendants, economic development in Greenwood, and the inclusion of the massacre in educational curricula. However, no direct reparations were made. Instead, symbolic gestures were implemented, including the establishment of scholarships, the creation of a memorial park, and the inclusion of the massacre in Oklahoma's public school curriculum. In 2021, on the 100th anniversary of the massacre, survivors testified before Congress, demanding justice and reparations. Yet significant legislative action has yet to occur, highlighting the ongoing struggle for recognition and healing. The fight for justice continues, reminding us that acknowledging historical wrongs is essential for healing. Now that you've learned about the Tulsa Race Massacre, you might want to explore more about its lasting impact on racial relations in America. Check out our video on the legacy of Black Wall Street to understand how this tragedy has shaped contemporary discussions on race and justice. We'll discuss the ongoing struggles for reparations and the importance of remembering these events. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content. Thank you for watching, and let's continue the conversation about justice, history, and resilience.